How does a virtual government interview compare with a traditional government interview? These are my experiences doing both. Let's talk about it. In a traditional government interview, you're relying completely on memory to give those answers. So if the interviewer is asking you a question and you blank out, then you have to make up something on the fly. Say, tell me a time where your coworker challenged you at your last position. You're not going to have that information readily available. So you're going to have to go back into your memory bank in your head and try to figure out how to pivot and answer that question in an acceptable manner. Or you're going to either say, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, and that looks horrible. Where in a virtual interview, you can have all the answers right there, especially if you have a second or third screen. You can have them pre-typed up and you can reference them easy, where you're not just relying on your memory. Another thing is by having all of your answers present in front of you, this can help you feel more confident. You can feel more ready, and that type of energy is conveyed to the interviewer. However, in a traditional interview, you have more of an opportunity to form a connection or develop a rapport. And this is because the body language is easier to assess. If you are open, a charismatic type individual, then that's going to transfer over in a face-to-face setting. In a virtual interview, it's harder to assess the body language. For one, usually you're only seeing like a post office stamp size of their head. So you can't see their feet, or if they're crossing their feet, or how their body language is really conveying how they're feeling. In fact, you really don't even know if the person is wearing pants. For that matter, you don't know if I'm wearing pants. I'm wearing pants. I had an in-person interview a couple of years ago at the Department of Labor, and after our interview, we had some good chemistry going on, and basically he was trying to seal the deal. So he took me upstairs to the rooftop, and on the rooftop you could see the Capitol building, and he was telling me, you know, the families, they get together on 4th of July, everyone has a great time. And then he took me over to the gym and he was showing me the treadmills, and he was basically trying to sell the organization to me. I don't think that can happen in the virtual interview space. Also, in the traditional interview format, you're able to visit the building, see the office space or cubicles, and this can help you understand the work environment better. For example, if you walk in there and see a disorganized agency with papers flying around and people walking around with sad, long faces, that's going to be a red flag. Or are people happy and upbeat and glad to be at work and everything seems organized? You simply cannot do this in a virtual interview. At the most, you might get a glimpse of the hiring manager's office, but that will probably not tell you much. When I had an interview at the Department of Veteran Affairs, the hiring manager actually took me over to where I would be sitting if I were offered the job. So she said, the person for this position will be sitting right here. And I could see that there was a big window in front of the office space. So I automatically had an idea on what to expect if I did accept that position. Also, in the traditional interview, you're really at the mercy of the traffic jams, of the weather, of you getting lost trying to get to the right location. There was a time I had to call an interviewer because I walked into the wrong building. I didn't think it was clearly marked, so I walked into the wrong one, and then I had an escort come out to take me to the right location, and that was embarrassing. In a virtual interview, you can hop on your computer, you probably use Zoom or Skype, and this could be in your bedroom, office, or living room, and you'll likely be more focused and organized in the virtual interview setting. All right, so the majority of interviews taking place these days are virtual, and this is probably not going away anytime soon. And this doesn't mean that all interviews have to be confined to a computer. There are multiple interviews I took over the phone. And I found this even better because you don't have to worry about your appearance. You can have your hair all crazy and have sleep still under your eyes, and you can still do the interview on the phone. But you need to make sure that you have a good connection. I didn't have a good connection. For whatever reason, my call kept dropping. I even ran out to the front yard, but that didn't help. And then there was traffic going back and forth. My signal was at 5 bars, and then my call ended up dropping 3 times. You could tell, or I could tell, that the interview panel was getting frustrated. And on top of that, I was sick, but I didn't want to miss the interview, so I took it anyway. The key is to make sure that your phone or computer is going to function properly the day of the interview. So you want to do rehearsals. If you have a virtual interview on Skype, do the rehearsal on Skype on your computer. If the interview is on your phone, then have someone call you and practice the interview through the phone. Like I said earlier, you have to be mindful of the background noises during a virtual interview. It goes without saying that you should not have babies or kids or people screaming in the background or the TV on full blast. And if taking an interview from home is not practical and you know that it will be noisy, then go to your library or go to another person's house or go somewhere where you know it will be quiet. This also goes for people who think it's okay to have an interview on the phone when you're driving on the highway. People can hear the traffic. People can hear honking over the phone, and it's not professional. Your attention will not be 100% on the interviewer and their questions. You'll be worried about how not to crash and to make sure you're driving the right way. Do not schedule or conduct interviews while you're driving. Understand that whether your interview is virtual or traditional, you could have multiple interviews. There was one time I had 3 interviews before I was actually extended the job offer. And once again, you can also apply and not have any interviews and receive a direct job offer. Anything in between. And remember, just because you went on an interview or you went on multiple interviews and you think they did well and you're waiting to hear back the results, do not stop applying. Keep applying until you show up on your first day. Until you show up on your first day, nothing is secure. I have gone on a dozen virtual interviews and a dozen in-person interviews. And overall, I find the ones that are in person, they're more stressful. Like most people, I'm more comfortable to be at home in an environment that I'm familiar with and I can have resources easily accessible. The main resource that I use is to have a Word document open. And I have about a dozen star success stories. Each one is titled on a skill or experience that was listed on the job announcement. For example, on the qualification of a job announcement, if it mentions analyzing or evaluating, then I'm prepared for questions as, tell me a time you've analyzed data, or what type of analytical software are you familiar with? I have those typed up all ready to go. But what if you haven't gotten any interview request yet? Well, if you haven't gotten any interview request and you're wondering how hard is it to get a government job, check out this video next. So which would you prefer, a virtual interview or a traditional interview? Let me know down below. If you want more videos like this, please click like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.